I'm Miles Martin showing some Nenana footage, and this is material that the ordinary tourist is not going to get to film. Only somebody local could get this footage. Here's the turnoff off the Parks Highway, and that's looking south towards Anchorage, about a 5-hour drive away. This is the gas station from when you're leaving Fairbanks, about 50 miles away. Nenana is a river community. This is where the Nenana and Tanana meet. Nenana in Athabascan means a good place to camp between two rivers. When you go downstream down the Tanana here, there are no more bridges until you get to the ocean. It's 1,000 miles. So this is the end of civilization and the beginning of the wilderness. Two-lane road. This goes to Fairbanks, about 50 miles away. This is where we get our groceries and supplies in Fairbanks. This is the railroad bridge, slightly famous because it's the second single-span bridge in the world, built across the river. They were worried about 50 below in the winter and what would happen to a pillar in the middle of the river. Nenana is an interesting community because we have both a tribal form of government and a city government. So the tribe and the city overlap and share in the running of the community. And keep in mind that there are only 2 roads across our entire state. And the population of all of Alaska goes through Grand Central Station every morning on the way to work. So we've got a lot of wilderness and not a lot of civilization going on here. And this is our cultural center. It's on the riverbank. This is where the tourists end up, where we show off our community. There's a museum and a gift shop here, and boats park here. There's a boat landing here. This is the train tracks and where the train stops when it drops off tourists and picks up any freight. The coal passes through here on the way to Fairbanks. We have one store, Cog Hills, and that's our civic center on the left. So the civic center would be where the community holds a lot of meetings and events. This is looking over the top of the Cog Hill store, looking at the post office. A farmer's market, but it isn't always busy. Today we only have one vendor set up. It caters somewhat to tourism, but it's a very short season of just 2 or 3 months, and so we usually are more into looking after ourselves more than tourists. So this is not a put on. This is our community as it is. We don't put on any acts for the tourist season. We don't have a lot of funding to put out brochures and hand out information. So if you come to Nenana, you're seeing how people really live. This is our school. And this is the RV park. If you drive up, this is where a person would camp, and you could walk about anywhere you would want to go. This is another close-up view of our cultural center. This is where most of the tourists and visitors would end up coming to be introduced to us and see our culture. There's dog trips offered and boat trips and things along this line. So we aren't especially set up as a tourist community. This is a subsistence village where people hunt, fish, trap, live off the land. We have to pay a lot of money for supplies coming in. A lot of us grow gardens and live in a lot of the old ways. It's somewhat quaint. Not everybody is going to like to live like this. If you like Walmart, then you have a long ways to go. This has something else to offer. So when we put on a feed, it's usually good. We'll have salmon, we'll have moose stew, and it's for everybody and it's free. And we're known for taking very good care of our seniors and our children. And winter comes up on us fast. Within a few days, there can be snow, and sometimes the river freezes up pretty quick. Nenana is known mostly for its ice classic tripod days, betting on when the ice goes out. You can buy tickets for when the clock stops. And this is when the tripod goes up. We have a big celebration when this happens. Everybody shows up to help raise the tripod. This is the clock tower where the wire is hooked up to the clock, and this wire you're looking at will pull the pin on the clock when the tripod moves 100 feet. So in the Civic Center, we put on a big celebration. There's a Carhartt contest and children's face painting. Here's a fur hat. And we've got some native dancers that show up and show us how the dancing is done, and we learn a lot about their culture. Vendors set up to sell things. It's pretty exciting for us. You have to remember this is done in spring after we've been through a dark and 50 below winter. Here's Jack Coghill. And sometimes in the spring everything isn't so great and wonderful. Sometimes we have a flood, and so here I am getting into my home with a canoe. And I've got a humorous parking at the school showing up in a canoe, elder parking only. I happen to be an elder. Boat sinks, and that isn't very exciting, but when all that is over, I'm excited about getting the garden started. So many of us who grow gardens have to put the starter plants out early. I put little bell caps over. I have raised beds in the tires. We have a big Easter celebration in our library, and every child in town shows up. It's kind of a big thing for us, and I'm sure a lot of these kids are older now and remember their first balloon, and here's a piñata. I used to hold the piñata for many years. We've got library reading for the children in the summer, all summer long, that the community puts on. As soon as the ice goes out, serious business gets done. People have to move their fish wheels, and if you don't know what that is, you might have to look it up. We have a antenna up on the hill, a repeater. This is where we get all our signals for internet and television and whatnot. The view from Nenana is looking south towards Denali. Being out on the river, I like to get out, and many of us do, to go to fish camp, do fishing. This is pike, not as sought after as the salmon, but they're a lot of fun to catch. If you're a local, you can usually get out during the summer fishing with somebody, and we go out to fish camp and we pack our coolers, and it's a exciting time for us, a way to get away and enjoy nature. We depend a lot on the river. The barges are hauling supplies from Nenana, which is the end of the road, to the villages downriver that don't have any road access. And coming up is the Yukon 800 boat race, very exciting. They're doing up to 80 miles an hour with a 50-horse outboard. Dog mushers practice with carts. This is Jesse Holmes, and he is cooling off his dogs for the tourists along the river. Beaver are easy to see right from the road in Nenana. We have a lot of wildlife, sometimes right in town. Here is a moose right in the RV park. I thought it was humorous because the tourists asked, is there any wildlife around? And here's the moose while they were sleeping in their tent. I interviewed one of our local characters at one time. This is Mike Carson about fishing. I wanted to get a picture of all those fish. People don't realize how plentiful fish are up here.
Yeah, we don't want them to either.
No, I suppose, huh?
No. In the roe, we just throw away.
Yeah. The dogs don't like it, I remember that much.
They do if it's dried.
Oh, dried, yeah.
Dried and a little smoke on it, and then they'll eat it.
Yeah.
I checked all of these for eating before and those all kipper, those collars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to be able to just power through, just push. Now I got
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah. You're not using the nail. You only use that when you need to score it, huh?
Yeah, when I'm doing strip or something.
Yeah.
To hold them solid.
This is the tourist train coming into Nenana on our bridge, and coal also usually goes the other direction to Fairbanks from the Healy coal mine. Taking the train is exciting for tourists, and we seniors get a inexpensive ride in the fall. And one of the exciting things is seeing Denali from the train and access to the park. It's possible to raft from the Denali Park to Nenana. Nenana is one of the drop-off points for the rafters. The university is studying the potential of using river power to generate electricity for us. We have a really nice playground for our children. Here is with a rainbow, all magical. Summer life isn't all great and wonderful. It's forest fire season, and sometimes we're in great danger. Here's the fire coming close to the playground, the smoke anyway. But mixed in with the danger is really very beautiful. This is lilac and butterflies. We've got 24 hours of light. This is a nice zucchini from the garden. A lot of us grow gardens as part of our subsistence lifestyle, taking care of ourselves. And notice the raised beds that I'm growing things in to keep the garden away from the cold ground. We all get a moose in the fall, a lot of us anyway, and that's a lot of meat. A very exciting time. I'm making burger here, and it's always a good feeling when you've got lots of food. So putting up moose fish in the garden is a Nenana tradition. We've been doing it for many, many generations. There's some new things coming along. It's possible to grow apples in Nenana, and that's very exciting for some of us. We have a farmer's market and teach locals a little bit about putting food by. Here I am putting up a lot of sauerkraut from the cabbage that I grew. I'll be eating that all year round. It's a time to look for winter firewood. Sometimes I don't have to cut it green. Nature piles it all up for me on the sandbars. Nenana has an airport, but also a float pond, and some people have planes and land right on the river and park when they want to come here to visit or go hunting from here. Fall is the time to see hanging salmon for the winter dog feed, and this is somewhat serious. A lot of people depend on their sled dogs. You get some really beautiful colors on the river in the fall. When you're out fishing, it becomes a whole lifestyle. We have a lot of local timber and lumber yards, so we can get pretty much all the lumber we want locally. Once again, winter comes really, really fast. Here's my apples not even harvested when the first snow arrives. I like to make trips down to the river to check on it, check on the boat. A lot of us drive down and look at the river because that's so much a part of our lives. Not all the roads get plowed all the time, so it's rough sometimes in the wintertime, and I use just a snow machine and put the vehicle away. You could see it's buried in the snow here. I don't drive all winter. Trapping season begins as soon as everything freezes. This is an otter a friend of mine got by snow machine. Mail has to go in, and we don't have mail delivery or pickup, so we have to go to the post office with mail. Going out on the lakes too soon can be costly. Here I go through the ice and spend weeks waiting for it to freeze, chainsawing, pulling, tugging, lifting, fixing the machine after I get it out. So it's one of the advantages of sled dogs, and here we've got a weight pulling contest. You can see all that cement. I don't know how much weight total, but I think it's over 1,000 pounds one dog is capable of pulling. Here's a sled dog puppy. One of our dogs is going in the sober parade to promote being sober. We care about our health here. Sometimes dog mushing is very serious. It was my only transportation for many years. Here's my old dog sled. But we're almost the dog mushing capital of the state. The original serum run the Iditarod was based on took place right here in Nenana where they hauled the serum up north. It's still one of the checkpoints. So here we are with all the dogs camped out on the river. So the racers are camped right near the tripod, which is up by this time, and here it is spring, and my dog Spike is taking his spring break. This is my website, art, knives, gifts, jewelry, and this is the QR scan code.